Coming up on the Empowered Woman podcast.
And so part of the reason I decided to work with Marta was really just to invest in myself. Like, I think that's the biggest thing. It's like giving myself that respect of like, you deserve to have visibility and you deserve to have someone work with you who knows your stuff, right? Because a lot of times, like, I feel like, we try to cut corners, but we try to cut corners in the wrong way. Like, cut corners, don't buy that Chanel bag. You know what I mean? Like, do something that's actually good for you, so that 5 years from now you can buy 100 of those bags. And that's kind of my outlook. And so I wanted to kind of invest in myself and invest in Marta's mentoring and coaching in terms of like, okay, we're here. How do we take what I've done so far, take this foundation, and then basically blow it up in 2023?
Welcome to the Empowered Woman podcast, the #1 show on personal growth, visibility, and profit for women entrepreneurs. If you're wanting to get empowered to be seen, stand out on social media, stages, TV, and more to make an impact with your voice in business, you're in the right place. I am so glad that you're here. My name is Marta Spurk, and I'm your host, empowerment coach, visibility and marketing expert, and all things motivation extraordinaire. Welcome again, and let's dive into today's episode. So first things first, I would love for you to share with me if you already know human design, if you know your type, if you know your strategy, drop all the stuff. Hi, Randy. Drop all of the things for me in the comments because I do want to make this a little bit of a conversation before I have Neha join me and tell us her perspective when it comes to us working together and the work that I'm doing with her in terms of visibility and incorporating human design as well. So I do want to start with a very brief definition of human design, whether you're familiar with it or not. I know there are different ways of describing this tool. I believe it is a very comprehensive and complex tool in many ways. And so I've come up with my own definition, combining the different definitions out there and from my mentors as well. And human design essentially is an awareness tool, and it helps you differentiate what is comfortable for you, what is in alignment for you, and what is not, right? So there is this chart that is also called a body graph that shows you what is your design. Were you made to be in this world? Okay. And when it comes to specificity and the specifics, it really is a combination of astrology, a combination of spirituality, and also science. So there is a lot of scientific-based aspects to human design. It's a whole other rabbit hole of itself. But when you talk about neutrinos and the particles that are in the universe, the moment you were born and the moment you were designed, there's a lot that goes into it. So that's another thing that really drew me in to human design, is the fact that it is not just this esoteric, intangible woo thing. It's actually very practical and very real. And so this awareness tool encourages you to really view things from an energetic perspective. So what is your energetic blueprint? When you walk into a room, how does the energy in the room shift because you're there now? And how does it shift when it is in contact with other people's energies? Isn't that incredible for us to know and become aware of as business owners when we're building relationships with our clients, with our, partners, and even with our families? And so it's an awareness tool that helps you come to your own conclusions of how reality works for you, because everything is subjective, right? So it allows you to really sharpen your perception of yourself and the world around you. And I think that is beautiful. Now, I do want to also acknowledge the fact that many people may be skeptical about this, because what if my birth date is not right? Many of us do not even know our exact birth date. Some people don't have it in their birth certificate, so then I can't really analyze all of this. And if that is you, I would love to have a conversation about that, by the way, if you don't know your birth time. because that's how you come up with your blueprint and your chart. And by the way, if you don't already have your chart and you have no idea what I'm talking about in terms of that, you could literally Google human design chart, but I recommend using the website Genetic Matrix. That's the one that I use, geneticmatrix.com. And you put your birth information on there and you can get all of that done. But what I wanted to say is that regardless of whether these interpretations are true or not, you can learn more about yourself in the process. And you know how much of a geek I am about self-discovery. I mean, I wrote an entire book about the Enneagram. I love these tools because they allow you to love and embrace yourself more. And they give you that confidence to carry on and to keep doing what you are already doing. So this is how I've been leveraging it for visibility in many ways, is because I believe that human design has empowered me to be more of who I am. And the thing is that this is what I love about this whole thing. And I made a post yesterday and many people resonated with it. You're here living your life, right? You have your routine, you have your tastes, you have the things that are so you, right? All of us have answered those posts or questions. You know, what would your friends say? It's so you. You know, what is your color? If your life was a movie, what would be the name? Like, there are these things about us that people recognize and they just know that it's you, right? But what if something came along and described it and said, this is who you were meant to be all along? What if something came along and really showed you and confirmed that your tastes, your life path, your career, the person you've married, your kids, the different twists and turns, none of that has been random? How would that feel? And that's what human design has been doing for me. It's been really that mirror to help me see that none of the choices I've made so far in my life have been random. They've all been supported by who I've always was meant to be since birth. And that is a lot of how I've been connecting that with visibility. So for those of you who already know, and I saw Jamie posted here that she's a 5-1 projector, splenic authority, amazing. So for those of you who are not familiar, but I feel like it's important for me to start off with this. There are different types of energy. So the same way that you would say there are different flavors, right? There are different types of taste. So there's a bitter taste, there's a sweet taste, there's a tart taste, there's sour. Your energy, again, as you walk into a room and as a person, it is different. And if you know the Enneagram, if you've been following me as for all these years, as I've been sharing about the Enneagram and then creating my own quiz with the feelers, thinkers, and doers, which, by the way, if you haven't taken the quiz, go and take it. Just go to marciaspurk.com and you could start taking the quiz. It's really short, 8 questions. I've known this for a fact, that different people bring in and show up differently. Like, my husband shows up in a room completely different from the way that I do, because he's his own person. And I see the same thing with my kids, being born the same day to the same people, raised by the same people. They are different. And human design explains this by your aura. So your aura type or your energetic, makeup is different from different people. And that, what does that mean? It means the general flavor of your energy, the main way that you show up and you receive information about what is aligned and what is not aligned. And all of that is in that body graph, in that chart, when you submit your birth information. So what are the flavors? What are the aura types? You have generators, you have manifestors, manifesting generators. So it's a hybrid of those two, projectors and reflectors. Now, something that one of my clients brought to my attention, actually, was it last week or a couple of weeks ago, was an analogy to explain the different aura types in human design. And it hit me so hard that this is what I want to, use to start sharing more of human design so that it is the basics. Let's imagine an orchestra. So it's an orchestra analogy. And this is how you get to see how different people show up differently with different energy types, and how this is so helpful for you when it comes to your visibility. Are you ready? Let me know if you're ready for my beautiful orchestra analogy. So let's imagine a producer has this download, has this idea of, I am going to put together this amazing concert. I'm going to put together this amazing performance. These, my friends, are the manifestors. So the manifestors are like the mastermind behind this orchestra, are the mastermind behind big projects. So if you are a manifestor, when you pull up your chart and you see there, this should be no surprise to you that you have the tendencies of masterminding something, of getting this big, ginormous picture of things. And I'll get into detail on all of them in a minute. The generators and the manifesting generators are the musicians. So you have this huge mastermind of an idea, and they assign, the manifestors assign roles to the ones that are actually going to be doing the work. So the majority of the population actually, and I'll get to that in percentages wise, are the ones that are doing the work, are picking up the instruments, are studying the music sheet, and then are, rehearsing and then performing and showing up that day. And it's a huge orchestra with lots of different instruments and elements. Then you have the projectors, who are the conductors. So they are the ones standing in front, receiving that insight from the manifestors, understanding that concept, and guiding that crowd of musicians as a whole, as a team. Now you go, now you go, now we go together. And finally, the reflectors, they are the audience. And the reflectors are actually the least of the population. The ones that are the definition of empaths, the one that sit there, absorb the performance, and reflect back their reaction. So let me get into a little bit more of detail in terms of the types and how this supports you in your visibility. So manifestors are 9% of the population, and they have a closed and repelling aura. They are the ones that inform and initiate. They say, I have an idea, I have this vision, here's the plan, everyone. So they spark these ideas and they have that initial intention. So if you are a manifestor, this should not be news to you. You are already operating this way. Then you have the musicians, the generators. Generators are 31% of the population, and the manifesting generators are 37% of the population. So they're over half of us, right? Of the collective. And they have this open and enveloping aura. They're very receptive because they're receiving that information. Look, isn't this amazing? They're receiving the information from the manifestors. They're responding to the information from the manifestor. They're responding to the information from the projectors, guiding them. And they're also responding to what the audience is reflecting, who are the reflectors. And then when you think about the manifesting generators, they're really a hybrid, and it's really a spectrum, right? They could be more of manifestors than generators, 50-50 of the two, or more generators than not. And so they are doing the thing. They're doing the work. Then the projectors, like I said, they're 22% of the population. They have a zoned in, focused, penetrating aura, and they're taking in the whole environment. And the strategy for projectors is really waiting for the invitation. And in that sense, waiting for almost like the permission from the manifestors to take that idea and implement it, or waiting for the permission from the generators and the manifesting generators to guide them with the insight that they've received from the manifestors. Isn't that amazing? And then finally, the reflectors, like I said, are the audience. They're adaptable, they're flexible, and they take in the whole experience and other people's auras, and they reflect it back. Now, you're listening to all this, you're like, Marta, what does that have to do with my life? What does that have to do with me becoming more visible, getting on stages? Friends, this means that we all have a purpose individually. The orchestra of life is not complete without you. Bumper sticker, right? I will put that somewhere. The orchestra of life, the orchestra of this planet, is not complete without you and your gifts. You are meant to shine your expertise in your own unique way. And I've been talking about this my entire, business by saying, there are so many other personal development books. When I chose to publish my book, when I chose to step on the TEDx stage, I am essentially competing with Brené Brown, with Tony Robbins, with Rachel Hollis. Who the hell am I? I am the only one of me. And you are the only one of you. And newsflash, your talents, your desires, your inclinations, they're not random. They are all part of your purpose. And all of this can be found in your chart. So in your chart, in your body graph, in that energetic blueprint, you can find information on how you best teach. What is your teaching style? How do you coach your clients? How do you serve? It's in there how you learn. What is your learning style? How do you consume information? How do you absorb things to then be able to implement it in your day-to-day? What is your communication style? What is your main topic? What is your purpose? And this is what I have been using with my clients specifically. And I will have Neha join me in just a moment. But what I've been using specifically is your conscious sun. So for those of you who are familiar with astrology, you know your sun sign, right? Because it's based on your date of birth. I was born December 2nd. My sun sign is Sagittarius. But there is more to that than just knowing your zodiac sign. And this is the depth that human design can really help you with. Because looking at, okay, we looked at your role when it comes to the auras. Now let's look specifically at your sun gate. And this is what I do with my clients. I create a whole report and we use this as we move along. Understanding your essence, your authenticity. Did you know that your sun sign or your sun gate, which is found in your chart, is 70% of your personality? If there's one thing in your human design that you need to be studying and incorporating and reflecting on, is your conscious sun. Okay. 70% of your personality. This is how you express your life. And this is the father archetype in your chart. And so let me just share a little bit about my sun sign. My sun sign is 9. So even if you look at Gene Keys, I had it printed out, but I don't think I'm going to find it right now. Even when you think about Gene Keys, which is overlaps with human design, the name of my Sun Gate 9 is focus. The gift is determination. The city is invincibility. What does that translate into? Empowerment. It is part of my purpose to empower myself and others. Once I started seeing all of this, I was like, oh my gosh, me choosing to call my podcast The Empowered Woman, me choosing to call my book The Empowered Woman Community, and talk about empowerment, it was not haphazard. It was not a harebrained idea. It was not just a wild hair up my butt. It was literally part of my design. What is yours? Right? What is yours? And how can this help you? Again, have that confidence to become visible, because now, friends, that I am even more reassured that I'm here to empower people. How do you think I'm showing up every day? So much more confident. So expect to see more of Marta than you already see. And this is what it can do for you as well. So without further ado, let me add Neha here. So excited. Hi, friend. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your abundant schedule to chat with me.
Hello. Hi, Marta. Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me here. No, it's always a pleasure to be talking to you and obviously everybody who's watching. So thank you for being here.
Yay. Thank you so much. All right. Well, I've been chatting a lot. I know you were following a little bit. I do want you to introduce yourself, and then we'll talk a little bit more about our discoveries together when it comes to your human design and the exceptionally fast work we have been doing since we started working together in the last 10 days or less.
Yep. So hi, everyone. I'm Neha Naik. I live in Houston, Texas with my husband and 2 kids. I do have something going on with my sinuses today, so I sound like a dead frog. I will be occasionally coughing and sneezing and what have you. So I'm a 3 times business owner and really started entrepreneurship, before even I knew what my human design was, right? This was 8 years ago. And, I own a recruiting agency, pediatric sleep consultancy, and a data analytics agency. And the reason I actually, reached out to Marta in the first place is, we have this whole what's your word of the year stuff going on. And my word of the year came to me and it was visibility. So, when I thought of visibility, I knew people, like I reached out to my OBM and she was like, oh, I know someone who's awesome. And here we are with Marta. So that's what we started working together, literally, like you said, 10 days ago.
And it's been amazing. I keep telling her, like, you're my model student. I tell her one thing and she's already doing 10 of that in 2 minutes. And I'm like, yes, I have found a partner in crime that operates the same way that I do. And it's just been amazing. Like, as soon as we hopped off our first call, we already found a couple TEDx's for her to apply. She already connected with people on LinkedIn. She's already sending TV pitches. You've been already on TV and done a couple segments, and we're looking into doing more. And, crafting your signature talk. We're doing all of the things. Let me just backtrack a little bit and talk about the human design, because I thought that it was so interesting. And this has been happening the entire time, like every time when I know a little bit about a client. Some of them I know more before doing the human design report than not. But regardless, the little bit that I know, as I start preparing the report, looking at your conscious sun, specifically your profile lines, and then your conscious earth, I'm like, oh my gosh, you are already doing all of this in both your businesses, which is insanity. So tell us what you can remember, obviously, from the report. And I did pull it up here too, because I can touch on it a little bit.
Yeah, I just remember, like, I have this like need to really serve, people who need help, I guess is the best way to put it. And I'm a manifesting generator, 5/1. So I saw someone commented that they're 5/1. So I feel your pain, because I know the one can be a little like, touchy. But so I hear you, I feel you. And so I definitely like manifest and generate all the time, which is why when I signed up with Marta and I was already like, okay, go, go, go. It's like the visionary in me. It's the generator in me. It's like, I can't not do it once I know I have to do it, and actually like get made fun of by my family, my husband. And she's like, we just sit in one place like for 2 minutes. And I'm like, no, like I have my dental surgery, but I got to clean my closet. And he's like, aren't you supposed to be on bed rest? And I'm like, and do what? Like, I already rested for 20 minutes. We're good. The bleeding stopped. We're good. But anyways, so I just remember from our conversation, I forget what my rising sun is, but was it Libra? I feel like it was Libra.
I don't know. I need to check back in, but even just looking at like your sun, because we talked about the gate that had a lot to do with spirituality, and also emotional victimhood, helping people out of victimhood. That to me was huge. Yep.
Because part of one of my businesses, the sleep consultancy, I, started that because I do feel like women, especially in some specific ethnicities or cultures, are victimized based on their choices on they want to like rear children. And so there's a lot of judgment, there's a lot of hate, there's a lot of like, why you're doing this, you're a horrible mom, right? And I really wanted to kind of shatter those beliefs and just really be like, you're not being selfish, like you're not, and so really allowing like human design to kind of guide that, because I always felt a pull for that. But then after we had our call, I was like, oh yeah, like this totally makes sense. So it kind of aligned. And I remember Marta sending me that email. She's like, we're going to talk about this tomorrow, but holy crap, this is so aligned with what you told me in our first call.
I know when I saw victimhood on there, like based on the conversation that we had initially before we actually started working together, because we talked about sleep training, and I said I have triplets. I understand. That was one of the things that when people ask me how did you survive building your business in the beginning, I would always tell them, because I sleep trained my kids. Otherwise, there was no way I would have had any time for myself. Triplets, And so I am a huge advocate of sleep training, but I know there's a huge misconception. I mean, people don't understand. I didn't have a choice, but now I shout it from the rooftops, because if everybody thought that way, I don't have a choice. I need to sleep train my kids so that I have a life. And that's actually beneficial for their health and for our relationship. I honestly believe that that's where empowerment came in for me, is understanding that I have control of myself, right? And of the situation. as the adult and as the parent. So when I saw that in your human design, and even with the recruiting business for you too, I see how you're empowering people to move past, those emotions that may get them stuck so that they can move on, right? And do something with their lives. So I thought that was huge. So tell us, it's been short so far since we started, but we've done so much already, which has been crazy. Tell us like what you're looking forward to, or how has this supported you so far, and why you would recommend people working with me.
Yeah, for sure. So I think, like I said, my word of the year was visibility. And I feel like there's just so much out there. Like there's so much that you can get carried away with. And I didn't want to Google something or, do something on my own and then waste a bunch of time. Like I said, with all that I'm doing, time is key. Being efficient is huge. Prioritizing stuff is big to me. And because I did spend a bunch of my time building the businesses and not really focusing on the networking or the visibility aspect, I truly felt like, okay, I really need someone to like kind of mentor me, coach me through the process, because I don't want to just like randomly apply to stuff and then get annoyed if things don't get accepted, right? Because that's really frustrating. And so part of the reason I decided to work with Marta was really just to invest in myself. Like, I think that's the biggest thing, is like giving myself that respect of like, you deserve to have visibility and you deserve to have someone work with you who knows your stuff, right? Because a lot of times, like, I feel like, we try to cut corners, but we try to cut corners in the wrong way. Like, cut corners, don't buy that Chanel bag. You know what I mean? Like, do something that's actually good for you, so that, 5 years from now, you can buy 100 of those bags. And that's kind of my outlook. And so I wanted to kind of invest in myself and invest in, Marta's mentoring and coaching in terms of like, okay, we're here. How do we take what I've done so far, take this foundation, and then basically blow it up in 2023, and we started at the beginning. Like, we just kind of, we talked about my story. We talked about what kind of impact I want to do, why visibility matters to me, and kind of dove into that. And then went into like my signature talk, and then, started like looking up TEDx talks and networking opportunities, and also like, okay, how do we write a letter to journalists? Like, so we kind of did all of that in an hour.
It was insane.
But it's true. It was like, but one of the reasons I really like working with you, Marta, is like, you're very honest and transparent, and you're able to dilute it in a very logical and a non-overwhelming manner. Because even when I was watching like your course online, because I work with you one-on-one, but for people who don't know, she also gives access to like her TEDx and her podcast, and like just how to be on the news, all that access. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. And I remember watching it, and I was like, kind of a little high from drugs or my dental surgery, but I was like, this all really makes sense. So even like, I wasn't 100% in, I was able to really draw out what you were teaching and really imply that. So this call happened last week on Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah,
and as of today, I already have a list of over like 30 reporters, 4 pitches that I'm going to have Marta review at some point today or tomorrow, so that I can literally start applying next week. Right. And so I think a lot of this is obviously her encouragement, her mentorship, her guidance, but it's also what you make of it. Right. And like really allowing yourself to be open to that advice, to be open to that coaching, because you can't say you want help and then do things your way anyway, which a lot of people do.
Yes.
Yeah. But if you are struggling with visibility, if you're struggling with like, oh my gosh, there's so much on Google, there's information overload, I'm extremely saturated and I don't know what to prioritize. Like, when you work with Marta, you'll be able to like, she'll break it down to where you're still doing a lot, but it doesn't feel like it, because it's very logical, and it still kind of accomplishes your goal of being visible.
Exactly. And it's to the point. I've already weeded through all of the things in the last 6 years, doing it for myself and seeing what exactly works, what paid off in terms of time investment and connections with people. And it's all on there. So just expand on that. And thank you for explaining, because there is a course portion to it. So you have the opportunity to just get the course and join the community and do things self-paced. And it's a lot of value right there. There are ladies that have watched my Get on TV workshop sent a pitch and already heard back. And the news team is going to, it's an artist client of mine. The news team is going to her art studio to record a segment. So it does work. Again, it's like what Neha said. What are you going to do with it? Right. So if you get the course portion or the group portion of it and you're going to take action, then that's great, because all the information is already there and you can already get a lot of benefit from it. Now, if you want the added feedback, the added accountability, and the speed, we get so much done in 1 hour. I just had a call with Jamie. So Jamie is also a one-on-one VIP client, and we mapped her entire talk. She did not have a talk prior to that. We mapped it all in the 60 minutes. And we even covered, like, I think in the last 2 minutes of the call, we talked about what is your elevator pitch going to be like. And she sent it to me, a modified, revised version. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we even did that in that call. We can get so much done. And that's what you can do if you choose to work one-on-one. So it is even more homed in because it's customized to you and your business with my guidance. And we do that for 3 months. And then after that, you have lifetime access to the program as well. So it's just kind of like an accelerator, get it started, especially if those of you who visibility is also a priority and potentially your word for 2023, this is it. And the name of the program is Empowered Pitch. I'll make sure and put the link here, but my offers for the VIP that include human design are until the 31st. So you have a few days up until next week to hop aboard for us to work for 3 months together. Thank you so much, Neha, for sharing all of this. Let us know how people can connect with you. Obviously, you have the 2 business going on. Remind us what the businesses are, how to connect with you.
So the recruiting agency and the pediatric sleep consultancy. So you can find my recruiting agency on LinkedIn, or you can just look me up on LinkedIn. And then, of course, the Sleepy Cup is on Facebook because there's 2 different markets. So that's another complexity I just want to talk about is because I do have those 2 things, being able to separate those elements out, but still use human design to talk specifically about the purpose for each. Because one is B2B, one is B2C,
right?
2 different audiences. Everything is different, totally different, right? So I really appreciated Marta's help. And so if you're thinking twice, jump on board because you're going to be so happy.
Yay. So excited. I'll make sure and put the links in the show notes so people can connect with you as well. Thank you so much. This was so helpful and I am so grateful.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for tuning in today. I hope this episode empowered you. And if you enjoyed the show, please join the Empowered Woman community on Facebook and share with friends or leave a review on iTunes so more people can discover this empowering message. Until next time, bye.